This is Your Favorite Character Sucks with John.
Oh, we're rolling. Matt.
And Brandon.
A podcast where we look at characters in our favorite books and decide which is the best. Well, not just books, right? Movies, TV shows.
Any form of media, really, yeah.
Right. How does one determine media? How does one determine what the best character is? Well, with our extensive literary knowledge and a level of confidence possessed only by an American man, we can discover the answer to any question. Before we begin, my conscience would not let me go on without first saying that this podcast has assumed you are familiar with the series being discussed. If you haven't read, listened to, watched, or gone on an acid trip that has revealed to you the plot of the series under discussion, then you should stop listening now until you've read or watched whatever we're talking about. You have been warned. On this episode of Your Favorite Character Sucks, we discuss the Astonishing, the Giant, the New, the Future, the Past, the Uncanny X-Men. We're joined by our guests, listed in order of power, influence, and importance, Megan and Luis Mendoza. They're the Jean Grey and Scott Summers of our friends, in that one will use their powers one day.
Which one is Jean and which
one?
Wait a minute.
One will use their powers one day to embattle us and ultimately save us, while the other is someone who you wouldn't want to make eye contact with. All right, so opening statements. We talk about which character we think is the best, and then we continue until we figure out which one actually is the best.
This is an X-Men universe, right?
Yeah.
So it's not just X-Mans. It's like Brotherhood.
It could be, yeah. I mean,
Hellfire Club.
The Fantastic Four get into those comics. I mean, we're not doing that, obviously, but yeah.
Like Deadpool.
Yeah, anything but...
Well, Deadpool was an X-Man, right? So I mean,
as long as it wasn't in the movies, then it works. It's good.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I'm down for that.
Yeah. It's all based on the comics only.
But with that stipulation, it seems like we'd really be crippling anybody who's basing their knowledge of X-Men solely off the films.
Hopefully no one's doing
It's a very specific thing to say. Why do you
Sorry
say
for that person.
All right, so Megan, do you want to start?
Yes. According to issue 7, Storm is the best character.
Okay.
X-Man's character.
All right. So why is Storm the best character? Opening statement. You're a lawyer. You're talking to a jury. You're telling them why.
The jury's just us.
Yeah.
And we are your peers, but we will not be fair and we will not be impartial. We will be both partial
Storm is
and
the best
unfair.
for multiple reasons.
All right, go for it.
She's not trash.
Oh, okay.
She's awesome, right?
Oh.
Her power is
what? What's her power?
unparalleled.
What is her power?
What do you mean? She controls
Uh-huh.
weather.
Is that it?
Have you not seen the Disney movie, the Santa Claus movie?
Let her do her opening statement.
The Santa Claus movie where they control the weather? You know, the Disney movie? No? It's an iconic movie, whatever. Okay.
Yeah, we have some X-Men clips playing in the background while
Well, whatever they're thinking of when they think about Storm is not what we're looking at.
No, not at all. Luis, you want to do your opening statement?
So I am representing Scott Summers, a.k.a. Cyclops, a.k.a. Slim Summers for the first couple of issues. He's the OG X-Man. He's the first recruit from Charles Xavier, handpicked by the man himself, the man in the chair. So
Remember when Wolverine sucker punched him in the gut? Wasn't that awesome?
You sucker punch him in the gut?
It was so great. Anyway, keep going. Sorry.
I'm here to say he's easily the greatest of all time.
I'm also looking at Cyclops right now on the screen that we have in front of us. Does this look like a man that's worthy of praise? I guess I can only see his bicep, really.
All right, so who's your character?
Allah? Yeah. And I know that's going to sound strange because America is typically a very Christian-centered, like ethno-Christian city-state, but...
I think you got this. This is our X-Men one, not our Quran. We're doing the Quran next week.
Quran.
We're doing the Quran next week. We're doing our best characters from the Quran next week.
I thought this was the world religion.
Best characters from the Quran next week.
I'll choose to... I want to go last because I got to think about this stuff. So...
all right.
Because I was ready for the Allah one.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh man, I went back and forth. I'll do an honorable mentions, I guess.
Always got to do honorable mentions.
Honorable mentions. Sentinels. I think Sentinels are really just they're just part of so many great stories in X-Men. But I'm gonna go with Professor X because very powerful mutant. forget the first X-Man, he starts the X-Men, right? But then also a good literary character because he is complex, because he has a personality, and it's not always like, he's not a plot device, he's there to be himself. He's not a perfect person. He's not a saint, which is why I think that the movie versions have kind of done him a little wrong, because Patrick Stewart plays him sort of as like a very noble, wise figure. Whereas in the comic books, he makes a lot of mistakes and he has a lot of regrets. Sends young children off to fight.
So you're saying he's like Cody. He's like the Cody of the X-Men.
He's Cody.
Okay, so he's equivalent to Cody. Yeah, is what you're trying to say.
Is what I'm trying to say. So he's kind of a complex figure in that way, and he's also very powerful. So I think he's the strongest, and also the originator, and a rich three-dimensional character.
He is very rich. I will agree with that.
Oh, and he's somehow wealthy. I don't know.
Yeah, no, incredibly independently wealthy.
Oh, and a handicapped character that is one of the most powerful characters in the universe, which is pretty cool.
He's handy-capable?
Well, I'm saying I don't even feel like it's addressed. It's not like they're like, people in wheelchairs can do it too. It's just like a guy in a wheelchair.
In the 90s series, he's literally floating, right?
As long as you can telekinetically move yourself, you're fine.
So really, like according to that philosophy, anybody who just is in a wheelchair isn't trying hard enough.
They're just not trying. They just got to unlock their telekinetic powers.
First.
All right, Brandon.
Isn't it just a hover chair? He's not doing any telekinetic.
I think he's telekinetically moving that thing.
I'm going to need a citation on that one. Anybody?
Is he telekinetically moving that chair?
Yeah, I would say he is.
Raise your hands for the podcast listeners. Who thinks that they're telekinetically moving that
I just thought it was a hover chair.
I'm not raising my hand for the record.
He doesn't really use telekinesis in the same way that Gene does.
He does have that ability, doesn't he?
What about...
But he doesn't use like any like joystick control to maneuver around, so he just has his hand.
Hawking. It's like an advanced chair.
All right, Bran.
Alright, for me, it was no contest.
Who's that, though?
My favorite character,
Emma Frost.
Magnus, Lord of Metal, Magneto.
He's dope as hell.
One of the strongest mutants, insanely cool power, awesome character design, that helmet and cape.
Iconic. Yeah.
Also, even though he's
doesn't Gandalf play him in the movies too?
Yes.
Yeah, I think
Goddamn, Ian McKellen's so good.
No, Gandalf is the
Gandalf.
actor.
Gandalf is playing.
Yeah.
And even though he's often portrayed as a villain, I think he's actually a pretty compelling anti-hero, in my opinion.
So he's the Sasuke.
Well, that's the cool thing.
There's no redeeming qualities of Sasuke. He's not an anti-hero.
I'll let Matt do his opening statement in a minute, but that's the cool thing about Magneto and Xavier is that they are supposed to be the Martin Luther King and Malcolm X analogs in this world.
And so it's not as simple as good versus evil. It's two different ideologies dealing with like a very serious issue.
Yes.
And more importantly than that, Magneto was the inspiration for a lot of derivative powers. You know what I'm saying? We're talking about anti-heroes like Wood-Nito.
Wood-Nito.
Yeah, controls all wood.
Yeah, Plastic-Nito.
Plastic-Nito controls all plastic. Very powerful. Like Earth-Nito.
Dirt-Nito.
Yeah, Dirt-Nito. Yeah, excuse me. I didn't want to get his name right.
Yeah, superpower guys.
Really, so like I said, just a source of...
Could you give me your opening statement to your best character, please?
So here's my issue.
Your character sucks.
The problem is all the X-Mans, for the most part, are like pretty good. So like all the characters that have been named so far are pretty awesome.
What is yours?
I feel like I don't really have a favorite.
God dang it! This is waffling.
It's not waffling. I'm prepared, and my preparation is saying...
So that we can decide you a character, you will defend it. Then. Is that what you're saying?
Who'd you say? You said the Blob.
Yeah, no, stick with the Blob then.
The Blob is a cool character.
No,
Morph. We were just talking about Morph.
Oh yeah, we were actually talking about
There's no reason to talk about Morph.
So honorable mentions the Blob. Honorable mentions Morph. Honorable mentions Multiple Man. What the fuck's that dude?
Can you tell me who the best character in X-Men is?
I could.
Or who's your favorite?
There's like Beast.
This is the same thing that happened on the first episode. He wouldn't.
Yeah, Wolverine.
So the problem is that like everybody loves Wolverine.
There you go.
But that doesn't make him the best character.
Who's your favorite? Doesn't have to be who thinks the best.
I think my favorite character in the entire X-Men's universe is I really can't decide. They're just all so cool. It's like asking a mother to name their favorite child. I really like. What's your favorite?
Every mom secretly has a favorite.
Okay, John, who's your favorite kid? For the record,
Eleanor, straight up.
It's Eleanor.
Well, that's fun.
Obviously.
I'm gonna have to fight Jack one day, so I mean it's the issue. Okay, so who's the best X-Men? Just pick one and go with it.
Just look at the screen and pick one. Nightcrawler, right?
Nightcrawler's
dope as hell.
That's what I'm saying. Nightcrawler's a fucking sick
Nightcrawler's dope as hell.
Yeah.
But
all right, Mortimer McTaggart.
Literally,
Mortimer McTaggart, not necessarily.
Literally, The rest of movie 2, of the second movie of X-Men, right, could be just awful because the opening is Nightcrawler infiltrating the White House. That is the cool, like the best part of the whole movie is that scene.
Agreed.
It could be the whole rest of the movie could be somebody sitting on a toilet having diarrhea.
There is a scene where there's a dude on a toilet in
Why are we talking about different Phoenix?
So
and Mystique injects him with
funny you mentioned that. Which leads to another really awesome
leads to
scene.
my favorite scene, which is Magneto escaping from.
Oh yeah,
When Magneto
what does it
rips
say?
the iron out of that dude's blood, you're like, this is fucking insane. That's brutal.
Yeah, too much iron in your blood.
Which is why Wolverine is not the best character because the main villain of the X-Men can literally dismantle him at
so
any fucking time.
Yeah.
It's the word he can't.
But I mean, he doesn't die.
Right.
Yeah.
So who's your
He
character?
just incredibly
We're
inconvenient.
still on opening statements.
Okay, so I don't know if any of you guys have ever played the arcade game. I want to say,
Absolutely.
you know which one I'm talking about? The X-Men, like the 6-player CAD.
I know
I
exactly.
played the
what you're
And
Sega.
it's got, who does it have? It has Cyclops, Wolverine, Colossus, I want to say Rogue.
Kitty
Storm.
Pryde. Kitty Pryde is your favorite.
I do like Shadowcat.
Ooh,
Tell us about Shadow
What about
Cat.
Jubilee?
Jubilee's also a cool character.
No, she's not.
Okay, defend
Argue for
Jubilee just
Jubilee
because
then,
John
bro.
says no.
So the problem with Jubilee and like a lot of the other minor characters, and this was the problem with a lot of the X-Men, is there's just too many X-Mans.
X-Men.
Yeah, you're gonna stick with that.
I've done it, and now I have to say it like that's how I say X-Men.
Yeah, like Pokemon is just how it's said.
Well, we're talking about an X-Man, not X-Men as a whole.
All right,
that's what
so
we're
so
talking about.
Jubilee, why is she the best?
Why don't we just talk about your favorite characters, and I'll tell you why they're not
Did
the
we
best
ever go
character.
over why Scott Summers is the best, or did I fall asleep? What was it? First, we discovered who the best character was in all of Harry Potter. Now, after putting our kids down, up late on a Friday night on that legal drug caffeine, we're discovering who the best X-Men character is. If you find yourself at the center of that very special X-Men Harry Potter Venn diagram, then I'm sure you've enjoyed both episodes. And if that's you, then please go and follow us at YFCS Pod on Instagram and Twitter, where you can help us decide what episode we do next. Maybe you like the Harry Potter one, but you don't care about X-Men. Well, don't underestimate how nerdy and dedicated to the culture Matt, Bran, and I are. There's no fandom that we don't at least partially know. So join us at YFCS Pod on Instagram and Twitter and let us know what we should do next. All right, back to the show. Why is he the best?
Oof. Okay. Well, first of all, you were mentioning about Xavier and how, like, in the books, he's not just squeaky clean. He's this like three-dimensional character. The same thing happens to Scott, though.
Yeah. Can I give you something with Scott Summers? Is the movies don't do him well.
Yeah. Well, neither did Professor X. You said that to me earlier.
Neither did
Yeah.
Jean.
I would say he's also in the cartoon. He's a little pansy boy too. Like he literally that dude
That's
is.
when we first started roasting him.
Yeah, you roast him. The cartoon sets you up to hate Scott Summers because who do you like in the cartoon? You like Wolverine.
Right.
Wolverine's the cool dude.
Right.
And what do you see immediately in the first episode? Is Wolverine wanting to go back and save more, which everyone's down for. Like, yeah, you're the hero. You want to save people. And then you see Scott. He's like the straight-laced guy, and you're like, what a loser. And then when Wolverine punches him when they get back, he punches him right in the gut. Please look up that scene. It's amazing.
It really is.
He punches him right in the gut. Everybody that's watching that episode is like, hell yeah, like this is fucking awesome.
Right.
So this cartoon and the show set you up to hate Cyclops.
I thought we were talking about the comics, though.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Well, I thought we were actually talking about the movies.
So I will. No, we're not talking about the movies.
I will only be talking
I will give you this. If we're sticking to Cyclops in the comic books, you might have a case. Is that what you're gonna do?
I am, because most of my things that I have to say about him are book-related.
Cyclops is actually still kind of a bitch in the books too, though, right?
All right. Well, he's gonna tell us.
Okay, so the perception of him is that he's like almost like this Captain America-esque
Boy
good
Scout.
guy.
No,
Boy
Captain
Scout.
America. First of all, no, I'm putting my foot down. Captain America's way cooler.
Pick a character, then talk to me.
Captain America.
I'm just here to.
Get your ass off the podcast.
So anyway,
So this is Bran, Luis, and John's podcast now.
IGN 2006 Best X-Men Character voted Cyclops #1.
Really?
That's
2006.
I was just as
I
surprised
would
as
have
you
thought
were.
that Wolverine would have the whole.
But around that time was around the time that
When did the first film come out?
that Last Stand came out. So there's probably a little like the popularity might have dropped on the X-Men characters around that.
Do some research, Megan.
I have a Wikipedia page up.
Yeah.
Aren't you the movie buff here? Well, at least the X-Men movie.
Megan, do you need a minute to go get your phone so you can do research for us?
No.
All right. Anyway, so Xavier's the best. Wait, what is that what you're saying?
Wait.
So
Cyclops.
Scott is also just as tortured, just as interesting. He's there's a part where he has a mental affair with Emma Frost, and then they have this like.
Wait, doesn't Jean have like a mental affair with what was his name?
Scott?
No, Jean has like a mental affair with the Hellfire Club guy. He like keeps manipulating her mind and like makes her think she's like a woman from the 1800s, and like he makes her like kiss him and stuff like that. His name's not Sebastian Shaw. It's a different guy. I'm trying to think.
Sebastian Shaw is in the Hellfire.
Yes, but this is a different.
But it's a different person in the Hellfire.
Yeah, Sebastian Shaw I think is the one they make in the X-Men First Class movie, right?
Yes, yeah, that's
which I did not see because at that point I was so sick of X-Men movies that I didn't even watch them.
Right, real shame because it's actually really.
Because didn't that come out after Wolverine?
Yes,
and I was like, after I saw that
Origins.
Wolverine trailer, I was like, I'm not even watching Wolverine. I'm not watching any more X-Men movies after that. Yeah, I was bummed out. But anyway, continue.
He had a mental affair with Emma Frost, and then he just. Yeah. It completely changed him, and he started becoming darker, a more Magneto-esque character where he's not so.
I thought about another woman, so now I'm going to become a villain.
This is like post like Dark Phoenix.
Is this
right?
post Dark Phoenix?
It's like some middle school love type thing.
No,
I thought about a different woman.
It's definitely very juvenile for sure.
Yeah,
but that's kind of like his character.
Yeah,
just kind of just fucking loser.
Jesus.
Anyway, keep going.
So in the X-Men versus Avengers story, he gets him and a few other X-Men get the Phoenix. They're possessed by the Phoenix, and then in that he actually kills Xavier. He kills the most powerful X-Men, and then gains a following, a Magneto-esque following from that. So
isn't it after that Magneto takes over Xavier's school?
Yes, that does happen.
So I usurp your character is basically what I'm saying, John.
Huh? What?
He kills you and I take over your school, so
right.
You're just trash.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Shit. Is that how it is?
Days of Future Past also Magneto or Xavier is killed and Magneto is in charge, right? In the comics 100%, in the cartoon, in the second Days of Future Past arc is when they show the one where Storm has the mohawk and is in a relationship with Wolverine and stuff. Right. But that's actually I think the OG Days of Future Past in the comic books. But anyway. Yeah.
He's also Cable's dad. Who else? Well, actually, Xavier has a kid, doesn't he?
Xavier does have a kid.
Dude.
Oh, Magneto. Right, yeah.
Magneto has some pretty dangerous kids.
Twins, yeah.
Scarlet Witch is probably
the most dangerous.
honestly honorable mention. Scarlet Witch.
House of M.
Okay, here's why I didn't pick her. Can I talk about? Let's talk about Jean Grey.
Don't hype her up if you didn't pick her.
Let's talk about
There's so many great ones that were left on the table.
Because
that's not how this game works. It's like a point system.
No, we have people up. We talk about all the characters. So anyway, I would have loved to pick Storm. Storm's a great character. I think she's the best.
Princess.
I think she's the best female character for sure.
Really?
I do not. Jean Grey and Scarlet Witch, but to me, have almost the exact same arc, and it feels like derivative almost. Like it feels like the Dark Phoenix saga is almost the same as how she like goes evil. Like they both go crazy, and to me, it almost feels like that feminine stereotype of like, oh, they can't control their emotions in their mind and stuff like that, and you shouldn't give them and they got too much power and they destroy the X-Men because of like to me it felt very like it was a stereotype of women, and I like Storm because I feel like Storm does not follow that stereotype, although actually her powers are dependent on emotion. She actually, if she's like her emotional state does affect her control of. No, that's everybody. I mean, everybody's emotional state affects their control of their capabilities. You know what I mean? Like
she also gives amazing monologues.
Yeah, Wolverine loses his shit all the time.
If she feels like she's claustrophobia, it'll prevent her from using her powers.
There's just like one small thing.
One small thing that prevents her from doing the thing that she can do.
Yeah, but
that's
Hulk
one of the
has
most
to wear a
dating
helmet
weaknesses,
everywhere he
though. You know what I'm
goes to
saying?
really control. You're in a wheelchair. You don't even have a character.
Whoa!
You
I'm
have
in a wheelchair.
to-
I feel like
First of all,
these are personal attacks. Hold up.
oh man,
disabilities.
that's crazy.
Nah, I'm just saying, like we all have our little things.
Little things, yeah. I love
Except for
Storm.
Scott, he's perfect.
This guy.
You
know-
wear glasses.
This
too,
dude is a
so.
huge-
Do you know Storm's origin? Are you going to talk about Storm's origin, or just you just?
I mean, her being a literal princess.
Yeah.
Also, the #1 power couple in the world. Are we talking about that?
I mean, they're not together
They're
anymore.
not
couple?
together though.
They're not
They were though. Wakanda forever.
So the issue is like
Black Panther.
Yeah.
T'Challa.
what with the Black Panther Storm marriage thing,
Yeah, I don't know.
and that was all.
I don't even know about that, but yeah.
It was like dissolved by T'Challa during the X-Men versus Avengers crossover event.
I have no idea. This is some nerd ass shit right
Who
here.
watches movies? I'm talking about comics, yo.
Yeah, so
Oh, you know
I thought
what?
you were talking about Halle Berry.
Speaking of which, I think
Are you talking about Halle Berry?
I do actually
Always
have a
Halle
character. Freaking Namor.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? Namor is in fact an X-Men.
All right.
I
Talk
keep
about
forgetting.
Namor then.
What? There's nothing to describe about him. He's just a cool character. I think I'd like
Well,
to...
why is he the best?
Well, I think he's...
Do you know what we're doing here? Do you know what this podcast is?
I would say I've been in 100% of the podcast so far.
Yeah.
And I don't have any grasp of what we're doing now. I'm not gonna lie, the outline was not very clear. Yeah, Namor. Excellent character.
I also want to talk about Mr. Sinister.
First person you turn into,
Sorry.
just gonna note that.
All right, we keep almost figuring out why Scott Summers is the best, and then
Right.
something
And then
happens.
it slips from my grasp.
slips from our
It's like
grasp.
the cosmic
Yeah.
versus
Okay,
universe
so
are contrived
As
against
far
him.
as like, he's not the most powerful X-Men, but that's not
No.
what we're talking about.
We're talking about
best character.
Overall
So
arc.
he's obviously
Well, powers are a part of
underdog.
I think you could argue powers are part
Powers are
He's
deadly.
the leader of the X-Men.
I wouldn't say
That-
underdog.
Not for nothing.
Yeah.
I was reading this. I was reading a couple of pages. I don't remember what issue it was, but there was this thing where the Sentinels were attacking the mansion again because
Yeah.
that's what always happens to them. So they get the kids out, and then Scott goes back and he completely obliterates the rest of the remaining Sentinels, and he's succumbed by this anger. He's just blasting away, and then finally they tell him, "Hey, calm down." And Wolverine literally looks at him and tells him, "Damn, every now and then I'm reminded why you're the leader." Like, I think the way they see him versus how maybe he might be,
Sure.
because you're right.
Leaders take the hits. You know,
Yes.
the buck stops with them, kind of thing.
Right,
And I'll even throw you a bone with this because think about it this way: like, what is he doing? He's leading people into battle.
Yeah.
Okay. If you are a soldier being led into battle, you've been trained for, at least a year, if not years, to just follow orders.
Right.
You're trained to be an order follower, right? Cyclops has been tasked with leading teenagers to full-grown adults
Right.
who have superpowers. Some of them, like Wolverine, who's like, fuck it, I've been on my own for my whole fucking life.
He's the bad
I don't
boy,
fucking
right?
need you. Or even other characters who
Well,
are
it's
like...
true, he doesn't need it.
But I'm saying, like, other characters who, like, literally have cavalier attitudes or who are immature and all that stuff, and he has to get them to work together to go and face death. You know what I'm saying? Like, that is pretty tough.
Fire manipulator.
Fire manipulator?
You mean Pyro?
She's just naming the characters.
Oh,
The character
Ice Blaster and Fire Manipulator.
yeah. Those are the characters. Yeah. Ice Boy.
Yeah. Ice Boy.
Shark Boy.
Bobby Drake, right?
Cold Hands.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Okay,
So, yeah, I think that does make Scott interesting in that, yeah, he is the punching bag, but also it is very tough to manage a team like this.
Right.
And I think that actually, the comic book writers have done a good job of showing that, like, that this would be a hard team to manage.
I also think with him, it's like he almost followed the Captain America and the MCU followed, where like the first one he's squeaky clean, like pro America, everything, whatever. The second one he starts questioning authority, and then by the third one he's like, I work for myself and I do things, whatever I want to do, I do it. And I feel like the same things happened to Scott throughout the years, where yes, he was the OG X-Men and he was the only, he followed rules. But as he saw how the world worked, he started realizing that
He became cynical.
it wasn't going to be safe for mutants to keep doing what he was doing, and that he needed to take actions, and not everything was going to be technically the right thing to do. So I don't know. I find that very interesting about Scott. Yeah.
So what about Storm? She,
I would just like to say I think that would be a point of why we should have some respect for him. But overall character, I still trash.
One thing that wait. I got one thing that none of the other ones are going to have, and it's on record. One of Stan Lee's favorite X-Men, along with Beast. So.
oh shit, the creator.
The creator.
God has chosen him.
If we're talking about Stan Lee, I also have something to say. In the video I watched to prep for this,
How long was that?
very last minute,
How long was it? 2 minutes?
20-minute video.
Oh, damn.
Just a brief recap of all the comic book shit. But Stan Lee said that he fully intended for Magneto to be like an anti-hero, but because of the nature of comic books, as opposed to like, we've discussed novels where it's only J.K. Rowling. But in comic books, you have several different authors doing like just various different timelines and stories. So he said like often Magneto still just ends up being the villain.
Right.
And doesn't really have the chance to have the full arc of his character progression because a different author will just start the story over or something.
Mhm.
So he said
Yeah.
he personally envisions Magneto to be eventually an anti-hero.
Just a different perspective on
Yeah.
what to do.
But often, in many of the stories, he ends up just being the villain. Because
Well, and many of the stories, I would argue that he ends up being right. Like, humans cannot be worked with because, like, in the days of future past, humans invent Sentinels, and Sentinels take over the world. And
while Xavier often stops Magneto, I feel like Xavier is never proven right. The humans never end up siding with him and saying,
at the end of X2, he like stops time and like he's in the Oval Office of the president and he's like, look, man, there's good ones of us. We're trying to help you out. But it is funny because what is X-Men? I was thinking about it too. It's an analog for like minorities who are oppressed. And like we said, Xavier's like an analog for Martin Luther King Jr. and Magneto's an analog for Malcolm X. So anytime you try to make these like statements, you're basically saying like black people, or in the newer ones, gay people seems to be like what the analog is kind of being. So it's kind of funny to me, like the stuff like Xavier shows up in the White House and is like, oh yeah, we're some of the good ones, is like, that's kind of a weird statement to make when you're the analog for minorities. But then also like when Rogue in the God, what was that, the third one, when she like the end of her story arc is that she gets rid of her powers. Yeah. Then it's like, oh, the happy ending for her is that she's not basically the analog, right? She's not gay anymore. Like that's the happy ending. She got rid of the thing that made her different. That kind of sucks. Like that's why those movies are trash. Those movies are just garbage. But anyway.
Speaking of minorities, Storm is one of the very few.
Yes.
Oh yeah. Sure.
Like,
is she? And she's not in the OG X-Men. She's in the second group of X-Men. Well, I was just thinking because I was wondering if in the 60s straight off the bat there was a person of color in the
even
group.
though they're supposed to represent the struggle.
I don't think there was a person of color in the first group.
They're all white, even though, like you said, it's supposed to be an analog. To black people's struggle at the time.
Even
it's
always
white.
Is it because like that's how we see it, but at the time was it supposed to be that?
Yeah, no, it's specifically.
They were trying to Magneto was supposed to be Malcolm X, the militant, like, no, we can't work with them. We need to make our own colony. We need to do this kind of thing. And then Xavier was supposed to be the Martin Luther King Jr. We can coexist. We can make this work. That was the idea behind the comic. And it was to explore hatred for people that are different than you.
Who ended up being right?
I don't know. I think the movie's still exploring.
The movie's still exploring.
Magneto was right.
Louis still writing comic books about that shit, so I guess nobody won.
Yeah.
So Storm, she was born in Kenya.
Mm-hmm. Can you believe it?
Who's been, so I put it to you. She was born in Kenya, but she was raised in Harlem, New York.
She was also in Egypt, and this is the other issue that I was going to bring up is...
And she also grew up in Egypt.
The cartoon show in Egypt.
It's so hard to talk about characters in a comic book, like you were saying before, because there's so many different fucking versions of them.
Different universes.
But she is from the motherland as a whole, though.
What's crazy about it is Xavier's the best no matter what you're talking about. That's the crazy thing.
Interesting.
Yeah. It's interesting. It is interesting.
It's interesting how you would believe that.
He's top 3 for sure, but not the best.
Top 3? Really?
Yeah,
so it's honorable mention for you.
Brandon.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
Me, Brandon, you.
So we've already developed an alliance on the island, is what you're saying.
Yeah. We all, okay, so can we vote someone off already? Like we all know.
Well, we don't even know who Matt stands for.
So all we can vote
But we already know that
Cyclops.
Cyclops is
gotta go.
I'll let you know that all votes are weighted equally here.
Okay.
No, I'm just saying. You can't vote us off the island.
Okay. So anyway, I love Storm because
she was the first. Like she was the first like representation that I saw on television of like not just like the sassy black girl. Like she was a different character. She wasn't assigned to race. She just was.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
But she had something more to offer.
That's true. And she's like
plus Halle Berry.
When Xavier finds her in the comic book, she's a god. Wherever she's at, she's like helping these villages keep crops and like have water and stuff like that. And they worship her as a god. And he convinces her to leave that behind, which is pretty intense. Like, why would you leave that if you were like?
Yeah,
what does that say about her character?
Wow, what a jerk!
She saved nations. While you selfish people fend for yourself.
Yes, that's true.
I'm trying to defend all mutant kind.
Are you?
Really? Because you're trashing Cyclops.
Well,
But I do
Some
like
of us
Cyclops,
suck,
the
but
race
as a
trader of the.
But you want to defend him like the way you see fit. You're not giving them like free choice. You're
Another
saying
thing-
like do this.
I do think that Xavier
I'm
and
saying
Magneto are possibly
humans definitely shouldn't be telling us what to do.
Xavier and Magneto are definitely the most well written because they are very complex characters and they oscillate back and forth. Like,
And they're the two main drivers of the story, I feel like.
sure,
Who?
Xavier and
X and
Magneto.
Magneto?
Yeah. And they, but what I'm saying is, they oftentimes, like, they have something that they push towards, but then when they make mistakes, they will, like, adjust or, there's a lot of, like, there's complexity. It's not just, like, a one-track thing. Whereas, like, Wolverine in the comic books, I feel like, early on especially, was just, like, I'm a crazy, mad
Me, Wolverine.
killer guy. Yeah, me, Wolverine. He's, like, a very one-note character. Whereas, like,
It's
Xavier...
really cool,
Yeah.
but just, not as, like, compelling from a literary
The
standpoint.
Dark Phoenix saga starts because Xavier literally is like, all right, I'm done. He leaves, and Dark Phoenix is able.
Where were y'all?
The personality is
That was
able to
on me.
take over Jean Grey. Rogue. We never talked about Rogue.
Yeah,
Rogue's a
Rogue's pretty
badass
badass.
character too,
Rogue's
who was also
He didn't touch nobody.
ruined in the movies.
Yeah.
Completely ruined in the
No,
movies.
In the
nowhere
movies, she's
near.
trash.
Yeah.
God, dude, she's so badass in the comic books and the cartoon. The '90s cartoon is where it's at.
Yeah,
First of all,
honestly.
yeah. If you've never watched the '90s cartoon, you should be watching
That's
it.
like peak X-Men right there.
And you can even buy the Disney Plus.
Nope, don't ever invest in Disney Plus.
Jeez.
Yeah, do we need to be plugging Disney Plus really so early?
They don't need to plug ever. They ruined Daredevil and all those great Marvel shows on Netflix. They ruined them because they have selfish corporate greed. Anyway, yeah,
Save it for the other podcast.
all right.
Yeah, that's the podcast. Your favorite company
That's what the-
sucks. Yeah.
All right,
I was
so
gonna
why
say,
is
that's for
Jubilee-
the Defenders podcast?
What's so great about Jubilee, Matt?
Huh?
What's so great about Jubilee?
There's a lot of interesting things about Jubilee, but
Going back to representation, like the only Asian character.
I would argue that. Are there even any other Asian really? I think we had
Yes.
this discussion
Yeah.
about Asian.
Is his name
characters
Sunfire, right? He's in the second group of X-Men too.
in X-Men? I don't know.
He's in like
the
1975
problem is about
X-Men.
X-Men is I only know the most famous X-Men.
There's a Japanese dude who it's like all about like the rising sun type of imagery, right? I think his name's Sunfire. I could be getting this wrong. Someone can tell me if I'm getting this wrong, but
I feel like that's how you get blasted is just not having your facts.
oh yeah, not knowing. Yeah,
Your ducks are not in a row here, my
I think
boy.
his name was Tojo. No, okay, wait. I think
Yeah,
I'm
hold
wrong.
up, yeah.
I might be wrong about that. No. I'm not joking. I think his name was Sunfire, and he was mutated because his parents got some radiation from the atom bombs from World War II. No fucking joke. Like that's his storyline.
So he's not a mutant then.
He is a mutant. He mutated. His everyone in this world of mutants are people who have had genes that have been mutated to the point where they have powers manifest.
Is that how mutation works?
That's what it is in
Sunflower, Itsu,
Sunfire?
Surge, Silver Samurai, Opal, Shinobi Shaw, and Lady Deathstrike.
those are all the Japanese
Oh, yeah.
characters.
Lots of Japanese
Yeah, no,
Lady
Lady Deathstrike.
Later on, but I'm saying I think even in the second group of X-Men was Sunfire or whatever. That was a really cool thing about the second group of X-Men is like one was Canadian, it was Wolverine, I think, and then one was Japanese, I think it was Sunfire, and then one was Storm from Africa. So they were making a conscious effort to be like first group was about minorities and people who are different than you should not be treated unequally. Second group of X-Men was we're going to be international and we're going to talk about this in a global thing. I don't know. X-Men is just great, but
See, the problem I have, we talked about all these characters so far, and we're naming like a lot of awesome qualities about them, but there's no like qualifiers. Like, yeah, these are all like cool things about these characters, with the exception of Cyclops. But like, how do we like quantify which one of these characters is cooler than the other?
well, it's not about cool. It's which one's the best.
Yeah, but
So
best
cool is a
just-
factor.
Best is just a factor of cool.
Cool is a factor. Abilities are a factor.
Well, no, how we did it last
Abilities,
time.
like character arc, and how they rose to
One,
fame.
how much the fans like them. Two, their importance to the overall.
All right, so
story.
let's rate them right now.
I think-
Popularity. Most popular is what? Wolverine.
Wolverine, for sure, yeah.
But then he cited that survey. We don't have that kind of data to back up ours.
I'm
But
talking about IGN 2006. Like, what is their data? I need to look at their fucking survey results.
What is
What
IG?
is your character?
What is a
My character,
beast?
Beast is pretty
Beast
good.
is a
Honorable
beast.
mention.
No, Beast, very cool character. See, the thing
Beast is cool
Basically,
because
the entire cast is an honorable mention.
Beast is cool because
everyone is cool except Cyclops. But everyone else is
Cyclops
cool.
fucking sucks. But besides Cyclops, every other character is very
Beast
cool.
is cool because I remember whenever I was
Beast is
young.
lame.
First of all, I didn't.
Wait, what do you take issue with Beast?
Yeah, come on.
What's his power? Oh, he's
you
super.
only-
Oh, I'm super smart and blue.
Was
You
also
only watch
I
the
mean, he's a
movies, yeah.
beast.
Yeah, he's a beast,
Yeah, but so?
Okay, here's the reason I love Beast. Because when I was a kid, first of all, X-Men cartoon, the 90s cartoon was the first thing that got me into superheroes. My dad worked at owned a comic book store for a while, and I had the VHS tapes of the X-Men cartoon, and I
still
became
have those
obsessed.
sometimes.
And yeah, you
Your
have
copies.
my copies of
Yeah.
them, yeah. And in episode 1, spoiler alert, Beast gets captured. He's fucking in prison for so long. But the first scene they show of him in prison, he's hanging upside down reading a book.
Yes.
And I remember when I was a
That's
kid,
iconic.
that hit me so hard because I was like, this dude is like super strong, acrobatic, all this stuff. And he's in prison and he's reading. He's an intellect.
He never tries to escape.
He never tries to escape, even though he could.
He's like, I need to go through the due process to
Yes.
prove that we aren't.
To prove that mutants aren't animals.
Yeah, that we're
even though
not
he is an
violent.
animal.
Yeah.
So the whole point is like, don't judge a book by its cover type of thing. And I remember that stuck with me like big time. It's the reason I'm not racist today is because of...
That's the one sole reason.
I was racist until I saw that
There are
episode.
all these factors
Now I'm not
working
racist.
against that. Yeah, you were just a hard
No, I'm not racist at all.
racist
Yeah.
before that.
No.
But then you saw that and you're like, oh. things
I don't
have
even
gotten-
have one prejudiced thought, ever.
True.
Never. Yeah.
I don't even know what the word means, so.
Yeah. Anyway.
But yeah, Beast, very cool. See, the problem is so many honorable mentions here.
See, I don't even know what color Beast is. It's because the color on my TV doesn't work, but that's another problem. It's not really about race.
Literally, I think every single X-Man besides Cyclops is pretty... And Angel. I guess we don't like Angel.
Oh god, Angel
yeah,
is
we're all
pure
racist.
garbage.
I have a huge issue with Angel.
yeah.
Like, if anything, the movies accurately portrayed Angel the way he is. He's just a giant
A
fucking
loser.
loser. Yeah.
Yeah, if 99% of the characters can fly without wings, and you're the only character that needs wings to fly,
Yeah, that's
you
your
just-
superpower.
you just
Ace
suck.
flight.
You just
like
suck.
everybody else can fly as like just a side effect of their powers, but your main
We're getting
power
to where we
is
just
flight.
talk about everybody now. We did this with the Harry Potter one too.
Yes, because Angel fucking sucks, and
Gambit?
the people have to know.
I feel like people
I
are.
like Gambit.
I fucking love Gambit. Gambit's one of my favorite. I feel like a lot of people hate on Gambit.
Why do
but
people hate on Gambit? Who hates on Gambit?
I
Where's
feel like
this?
a lot of people don't like Gambit.
Who?
I think it's people who don't like Creole culture. If they don't like that,
Oh, is that
Gambit.
one?
They're not down with the Thieves, which is a reference to the '90s cartoon. If you watch it,
So who in this room doesn't like Gambit? See, everybody loves
It's a
Gambit.
small pool.
Gambit is dope as hell.
What do you mean? Very diverse
not
group of people here.
size.
Also,
100% of people love
no,
Gambit.
this is a small sample size, but I would argue that very different, backgrounds and interests and all that stuff. And so, yeah, if we all like Gambit, then we represent America.
Yeah, true. That makes sense. No, I can actually
Did
fully...
Gambit just win?
If we all like Gambit,
Yeah.
we represent America.
We represent
That's
America.
the one thing we can agree on. That
Is that
Gambit's
Gambit
cool,
is
so-
cool.
Every
Yeah.
minority group, every majority group is represented in this room right now. So, straight up.
we don't have any names
We're all,
in here.
huh?
We don't have any names.
I am easily.
I'm a card carrying
Uh-huh. Yeah,
member of the Cherokee. No, I'm kidding. I'm not.
Uh-huh.
That's not factual.
Where's Kurt?
Actually makes me uncomfortable even discuss it.
I'm Caucasian, which means that I believe I have Native American blood inside of me, which is not true. But I do believe it.
Yeah, then belief is half the battle.
Believe it's half the battle. Yeah,
Or I guess even maybe more. So anyway, back to the topic at hand.
it's one. For me, it's 1/14 the battle.
Okay, yeah.
We'll be right back to Your Favorite Character Sucks after a quick message from our sponsors. It's Mike the Morlock here, folks, here to talk to you about a show going on right now in the sewers under Broadway. Are you tired of all the Dark Phoenix adaptions that get it wrong, aren't quite canon, don't follow the comics, made by directors who only want to pad their wallets with money? Well, cry those nerd tears no more and instead come join us down in the sewers under Broadway where we perform Dark Phoenix Does New York. There's a lot more nudity, an all-male cast, and we are sure to follow the text as written. Imcron crystals, Shi'ar warships, and everything. Tickets are on sale now at supporting vendors, but you can bring your little mutants in for free. Come see the show that Professor X called, What? Who are you? What's this show? Get off my mansion property. And 100% of storms have said, what happens when a classic Marvel story gets struck by lightning? I wouldn't know, because I just saw the Morlocks perform Dark Phoenix Does New York.
Huge problems with Cyclops. Honestly, one of the worst outfits
Hey,
out of
he
the
can
original X-Men 2.
He can take a punch. He
Just
can take a punch,
Just
though.
like a terrible outfit. Like, why does this guy have like a bandolier like straps? Like, what's going on with that shit?
What?
Shit is just bad.
Luis, thank you for arguing for Cyclops.
I know you did.
It was a valiant effort. You know, who did you originally want to argue for?
I was probably gonna go with either Wolverine or maybe Scarlet Witch.
The problem is Wolverine is.
So you just conceded the Cyclops.
We always
Cyclops.
need someone to shit on.
I just convinced
Let's
him.
see.
Last
No.
one, we all just roasted the hell out of Harry.
X-Men and like the Wizarding world are like very similar in that they both like exist.
Yeah, they're
adjacent to
muggles.
the human world. Exactly.
Racism and fascism.
This is a very similar thing.
I would say X-Men is very wary of fascism, of like government control and stuff like that, because
you know what's even
every
fucking,
time the government tries to take the reins, things go bad in X-Men.
you know what's extra
Right?
fucking stupid
Does the
about
government ever do
Cyclops?
anything good in X-Men?
Yeah, of course it does.
What?
I mean, they still keep like the roads running and things like that. I mean, sure, these are like mundane things. Like, well, you think that like utility districts, like just being active, is just like not a thing?
Yeah.
People drink tap water. People drive on the roads. Yeah, they're doing those things.
Okay.
So yes,
So yeah.
That supports fascism.
Yeah.
I don't support fascism. I'm just saying that there are particular aspects
In
of
the X-Men
government that
comic book-
are just underappreciated.
Yeah. In the
Okay,
X-Men
like
comic books.
waste collection and like things like that.
I was about to say like Trump 2020.
No, I was gonna say no. I
I
would
was
never
going to say
say
Trump
that.
2024 because 2020 is already accounted for, baby.
I gotta go.
So anyway,
I was gonna
I
say.
don't feel safe.
I was gonna say. So in the X-Men universe, the government's taking care of things. Like Flint doesn't even have a water crisis.
Yeah,
in the
no,
X-Men
absolutely.
universe. No.
well, I mean, in X-Men versus Avengers, that's one of the things that
They just have
Cyclops
mutants
does.
with collars that are being forced to do create things like do government jobs, right?
What are you talking about? Like waste collection?
What's that? What's the
Or like civic engineering?
Genosha?
Like
Wasn't it
people
Genosha?
want those jobs. So I mean, like,
Wasn't it Genosha, the island where they had them like collared, where they were gonna blow up? I can't remember. Anyway, and the Gambit saves him. He pretends to be a turncoat, and then he ends up saving them. He's like a double agent.
Speaking of X-Men Origins,
Wait, who was talking?
Gambit is in Origins.
He is in it, you're right.
he is briefly in
He's
there.
on an island and he saves Wolverine.
Yeah,
That's it.
you're right.
Okay.
He doesn't save Wolverine. He drops him off.
I don't recall.
Also, Taylor Hirsch is like the franchise killer.
No, he saves
He was
him
in that
because he was
Battleship
like,
movie, the
Isn't that the
tank.
guy in John
He was
Carter?
John Carter.
Yeah, no, just absolutely
tank.
annihilated that
The
shit.
Battleship movie didn't tank. I think it sunk.
It is
right?
a tank, right?
It sunk. You know. Anyway,
let's go back and look. The look
What
of
about
the character.
Mystique?
Mystique. I don't like Mystique.
No.
What's your issue
Once
with
again,
Mystique?
I'd say in the movies, not as good.
I don't
as-
like J Law's Mystique.
Yeah, but
J-Lo.
in the cartoon,
J-Lo rolls eyes, but
I don't like J Law.
what
Not a
was
big
Mystique
fan.
though?
What's the issue with
is
Mystique?
cool.
The Mighty Big Story would have been Mystique.
What is Mystique? I mean, is she a great character? I don't know.
Why not? She's everybody.
She's like Storm's mother figure.
No, she's Rose.
Who's-
Rogue's mother figure.
She's
Rogue's mother figure. Is what I'm
Nightcrawler's-
saying. I'm
This
sorry.
Nightcrawler's like actual mother.
Mom, yeah.
Because they're both blue.
No,
Yeah,
because
That's
she's,
racist.
she's
I mean,
literally his
No,
mother.
she's
right?
literally the mom.
How the fuck is he in Russia then? Or
He's not.
Germany? Germany. Sorry, Germany.
He's not, is he? I thought he's an
He's
American.
German.
He's from Germany, dude.
It's
Isn't
him.
it?
That dude's name is
Azazel.
that dude's name is Kurt Wagner.
It's
Yeah.
Azazel.
Yeah, that's right. That's the
His name is Kurt Wagner.
Okay.
Yeah, he's from Germany.
Okay, my name's fucking what? Like,
What is
I
your
have
name?
some sort of Korean name that I'm not going to name here on this podcast.
Oh, yeah?
But what does that mean? I'm still an American. What are you trying to say?
I don't.
You're saying just because I have a different name that, like, I'm some sort of illegal?
Yeah. All right. So most popular character Wolverine. We said
Sure.
I think so by
best
far.
best written character out of all of these.
Out of the ones presented to us?
One that okay, not even best written. I shouldn't say that. 3-dimensional. We've talked about that before. Like that complexity. Is it down to Magneto and Xavier?
I said Magneto.
Magneto. So just the
But overall,
I forgot.
best
You just
person
reminded
is
me.
Storm.
You just reminded me of another reason that Xavier is awesome, but also it brings Magneto in, is they create one of the most powerful villains in all of Marvel history, which is Onslaught. Magneto and Xavier's consciousness forming together creates Onslaught, and he's like one of the most powerful villains in Marvel history. He almost destroys the entire Marvel universe. So
But
there you
there
go.
are, like...
So now let's talk about power levels. Xavier still on top there.
Yeah, if I had to choose between Xavier and Magneto,
But
I guess
what
I'd lean
makes
towards
him-
Magneto.
But I mean, Professor X is strong, but he's not strong enough to, like, buy
When she
him
has,
like a metal helmet.
when she
So,
has
like,
the,
how strong is this guy really?
Yeah,
So-
exactly. He can't even go.
In the video,
Tinfoil hat. He's wearing tinfoil hat.
Yeah, literally just like some Reynolds
Where
wrap
is
around your head. Like, how strong is this guy really?
No, but apparently in the comics, before they even added the helmet to Magneto's costume, he was still able to repel Xavier's mind reading. So they say it's
What is
just
like a strength of will situation?
yeah, that's literally what they said. and then they just started saying it was the helmet later on. But at first, he was just able to do that on his own.
Can we talk about character design? Just the way like the characters
Okay.
are drawn.
That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay, how cool characters
Yeah.
appear.
Just the way they look.
All right. Well, Xavier's just a regular dude, a bald dude in a wheelchair. So I can't.
Storm
is bad.
Magneto's pretty
Storm.
Multiple
Storm,
versions
every
of Storm.
iteration of Storm
Every
is fucking
storm
insane.
Yeah.
is
Pump
dope.
Storms.
Also,
Pump
I
Storm
feel
is
like
dope.
most iterations of Magneto are pretty good, except for what was that one?
Magneto always.
I hate that one version of Magneto. I feel like it was a time where they like were trying to move away from that purple and red look, and they gave him more of like some sort of like I want to say like during the '90s when they were trying to like maybe reboot it. He looks so fucking terrible. I don't know why this hasn't played yet so far because I feel
Well,
like
in the '90s
All right.
cartoon, he still had the purple.
oh no
right?
for sure because that's the best look he has.
Yeah.
There's
All right.
not a better look.
So Scott Summers look.
Looks just
I like the 80s look from the cartoon.
no. Scott Summers looks like a loser. Like if you looked at that guy, he looks like fucking Archie. Like maybe a little less buff.
Yeah.
Like I'm not even joking when I say that.
One time I thought I was reading an X-Men comic book and I was just reading Archie.
Yeah,
because
Keiji
I thought it
Nava
was-
is literally more buff
Yeah.
than a drawn version of
No,
fucking
when he's not
Cyclops.
wearing the laser thing, he just wears like generic cop shades. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He's a fucking cop.
He just looks like a narc.
He's a fucking nerd.
So yeah, when it comes down to the war, the race war between humans and mutants,
And
he's
mutants,
going to
yeah.
turn on them.
Yeah.
Because he's a piece of shit. That's what I'm saying.
Wolverine. Iconic outfit. That yellow and blue.
The yellow-blue outfit is so good. If you
It's-
don't
it's
like that
fucking
outfit,
iconic.
you just have a problem. I think that might be the best outfit in the original X-Men.
Should they have taken their outfits away in the X-Men movies? Because they
Talk
took
about,
them.
like, the
They
first
took them away to make them like
in
generic
First Class,
outfits.
they sort of like brought it back a little bit.
They did.
They had the yellow and the blue, right?
I think these outfits would have been pretty cheesy in a modern movie.
Yeah,
For sure.
they had to do it. They had to
Without a
replace the
doubt.
outfits.
What are you talking about? They
look,
could easily rock
then-
his storm outfit
then-
right here.
Yeah, because like then
Fucking
you
Joe
get
Jonah looks like Mysterio.
But why
Mysterio is the
do-
most
why-
corny looking.
No, but even
Why
that
do
was very
live action
modern.
movies act like they're embarrassed of what the characters are looking like? You're making an X-Men movie? Fucking make an X-Men movie.
Doctor Strange.
Like Doctor Strange looks like Strange.
is weird and goofy looking.
I mean, yeah, he's got the cloak.
I would argue
here to watch.
I would
those
argue when
characters,
you
know
go
what I mean?
all out, your movie does better.
Yeah.
Because look at Dark Phoenix. They did not dedicate themselves to that comic book at all, and that movie
No.
flopped.
Who watched? We can't even speak on it because none of us have seen that.
That movie had
Megan and I
that movie
watched
made
I
negative
watched the
money.
movie.
It would-
That movie made negative money.
It's trash.
It actually lost the money.
I'm
For
pretty
real?
sure.
Yeah.
At least I'll look it up right now.
It did not do well.
All right, can you talk about Jubilee? You haven't
We're
talked
literally
about.
watching Jubilee fly on a pterodactyl. Okay, that's actually kind of cool.
Savage Lands.
Can we acknowledge that?
All right,
So
who has the coolest
You know who
story
Jubilee
arc?
is?
Is it Dark Phoenix? Is it like Bishop, Future Past? What is the coolest story arc?
We're
and
talking
which
about just
character?
the characters.
Yeah, is it Scarlet Witch destroys the X-Men
Like
or
House
destroys
of
all
M.
mutants? House of M.
M's really cool.
What is the coolest? Which character is the coolest story arc in
I
all
like
of
when
the X-Men?
I like when Magneto,
Magneto-
finally gives up on.
Goes Asher and him.
Yeah, he gives up on humanity and just goes and creates.
What about when he
Ashram.
flips the poles of the earth?
That's pretty. Intense.
Also pretty insane.
He gives up in a peaceful way. Like he's like, I'm not going to attack them. I'm not going to. I'm just.
Yeah,
going-
he's like,
I'm starting a
there's
haven.
no winning with these people.
I'm going back to like Liberia. Like I'm making a place
Yeah.
away from all of the racism.
My problem with X-Men is I actually don't care about like a lot of the major like events that happen in the X-Men universe.
Can we say that the Dark Phoenix has not been done right once in the movies?
Yeah, the thing is I just don't care about Dark
I would
Phoenix.
argue that even in the animated version, it's not done that well. It's done okay, but it should really be like a 10-episode arc. It should really be like.
How
it
many
should-
episodes
in-
was there in the original?
it was only like
It's a handful.
4, maybe.
Yeah, it's not
4, I think. But I'm saying, if it was going to be in a movie, it would literally have to be being set up from 1 to 2 to 3.
Yeah.
Like in the background, it would be like a Thanos type of thing. It would have to be like a Thanos type of thing, where like first one they're in the spaceship and she gets it. Second one, but it's all happening while other villains are going on. And then the third movie is full Dark Phoenix.
I feel like of all the characters that you guys have selected, the only character that's like actually at the forefront of like a major crossover event is probably Cyclops, right? If you think about all the events that happen in the Marvel Universe, like, because they always try and separate the X-Men from like the rest of the Marvel Universe, like typically.
Right, like even in Civil War, they were neutral. They didn't pick a side
that's not a mutant thing. That's like
Yeah, they're like, no, that's your thing. And then,
exactly.
which is funny enough because when that happened, Reed and Sue they broke up,
Yeah.
leaving the Fantastic Four in shambles, and Storm and Panther actually substituted in as the Fantastic Four for a little while they were still married.
All right, you ready? Dark
Well,
Phoenix.
it's all made up.
The Dark Phoenix movie.
I said it sounds dope.
Oh, I thought you said it was made up. I'm like, yeah, well, all this shit is fucking made
The
up.
Dark Phoenix movie had a $200 million budget to make the movie. And it made worldwide, over the entire run, $252 million. So it didn't lose money, but that is
free money. They just generated $50 million free dollars.
That is not good for a superhero movie. Super movies, like a lot of them are going over $1 billion these days. Like that is not good.
It wasn't a bad movie.
It was a bad movie.
It was just Homegirl. She wasn't meant for the role.
Sophie Turner. Was that her name? Is that her last name?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did she have like a significant part of like
Sansa.
I guess she had to be, right?
She was
A
just
significant
like,
part of the film.
I don't know. It was
Yeah,
very
the
late.
movie's
Because
about
the
her.
whole movie, she's like, that's the whole movie.
I can't control it.
Yeah,
Like that type of
literally
shit.
it.
I mean, that just is what it is, though.
I mean,
No,
yeah.
but we still haven't like really tapped into my girl's abilities.
Storm.
Like
all
you
right.
guys can, you
What
guys
can-
control.
So yeah, you said you can
evil.
control the weather.
Let's hear it.
We can control. I can control.
We.
It's the royal we.
You represent
Yeah, the royal we.
We can control the weather. Like you guys have each other, but when the people are gone, I still have the weather I can control. Like Storm can do that.
You know
Like
what's
there was
insane?
no
It's
evil,
like,
she could still.
She's the leader of the Murlocs.
Yeah,
the
I
underground
definitely
people?
know who that is.
Morlocks?
Morlocks.
Morlocks, sorry.
The Murlocs.
Fish people from World of Warcraft.
My fault. Morlocks.
Also, would you argue that like maybe Magneto could also control the weather?
Like when there's drought, I can create rain.
Yeah.
I. Now it's gone from we to now I.
Yeah.
I know.
She's transforming the storm.
Yeah, now Storm's got decent powers.
She has godlike powers, and you guys are just like you guys are just like mutant people.
My favorite thing about her in the 90s cartoon was every time she would...
Power of Gaia!
Yeah.
Win!
Torrential rains from above!
Yeah.
It's so good.
She's actually just playing D&D.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
She just wants y'all to know what's going on.
No, it's definitely spicy for sure. It's very anime-like in the way that you yell out all your power moves and shit like that. Whereas, like, Professor X, this is what he does in the 90s comics. I know you can't see it, but I had 2 fingers in my
Well,
temple.
Jean Grey is in the 90s cartoon is just constantly swooning. She's just... Oh.
Yeah, she's trying to
always-
do that, and then she's like...
Not as powerful. And still she becomes a hood.
Yeah.
No, this is the Wolverine versus. This is the Deadpool. This is Wolverine versus the Hulk, and it has Deadpool
And Omega Red.
And Omega Red.
This is a
Lady
weird
Deathstrike's
style.
also in this. It's actually really good.
It's a weird
This
style,
dude's
though.
chin is like just
Yeah, I don't
really
like
out.
the
Crimson.
I don't like it.
No, like Crimson Chin, yeah, exactly. Speaking of actual superheroes, Crimson Chin, my boys.
That's X-Men.
Where's that from?
Fairly obvious.
I remember the reference, but I didn't remember where it's from.
That's a quality show.
No, honestly, wait, why are we not saying the Fairly Obvious?
Wait a minute. It's
Y'all
Friday the
wanna talk-
13th right now.
Yeah.
And in Fairly Odd Parents, isn't that where like dark fairies come out or whatever? Y'all don't even fucking
Yeah,
First of
you
all-
do a little bit too much.
Hold up.
Hold on, let me look
We
it
That's
up.
not, first of all, we're not talking about the lore of Fairy Odd
The
Parents.
lore of
I guess this is very lore
No, when
related.
y'all want to talk about like original like 90s cartoons, hit your girl.
We are. We're talking about X-Men's right now. Okay, let's
Nah.
get back on
Alright,
track.
Megan.
Like
yeah.
the Nickelodeon ones.
Hey Arnold?
When
Hey
you're
Arnold.
ready,
Let's do
Hey Arnold.
Hey Arnold episode?
Yes.
We're
Yes.
definitely doing a Hey Arnold episode.
Arnold!
We should do Rugrats too.
I'll just sing the
So I
opening.
can have
for you guys.
Susie.
God dang Rugrats, you're doing Susie?
Of course. I'm picking every black character, every
Okay,
black
I
female
got you.
character.
I got you. Okay.
Wow, I wish I had that kind of
So
representation.
like on
You
Doug,
do.
on Doug,
What's that girl's name? Chucky's sister.
who's the blue guy on Doug? Who's the black
That sounds
guy?
like
Skeeter.
Skeeter.
Skeeter's actually.
Fuck, are you doing Skeeter? For Doug?
Yeah, I have every
Obviously.
black. Like if we did Lion King, you know.
Wait.
It would be a lion.
Yeah.
Wait, I did that wrong. If
You'd have to be Scar,
If we're
because
doing
it's
like
your favorite
90s.
character.
What? Why Scar?
Scar's the only brown lion.
That's
The other ones are like
Also played by
yellow.
a world-class actor,
If he's the
Jeremy
villain,
Irons.
he's the black one.
He's played by Jeremy
I see.
Irons.
That's fucked up.
I see you.
This is all getting cut from the podcast, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah,
We're
this is
just
for.
talking.
Oh, and I'm cutting around a lot of this stuff. I have 10 minutes of usable material at this point.
Yeah, we like got. We were talking about like
No, I'll be honest.
story powers, and we were talking about Crimson Chin.
I feel like we were a lot more focused last time.
Alright, well, then let's finish it up. Let's do it.
We still haven't even talked about everybody's powers. Don't even talk about Cyclops' powers because they're literally just so fucking boring.
What are his powers? He can't even. The lasers don't even really melt things, right? They're just
They're
concussive.
not actually lasers, right?
Right. And also they don't harm him. And also he has a weird thing because he has 2 other brothers, Havoc and Vulcan,
yeah.
and like this is something I didn't like where
I have an update. I'm sorry.
yeah.
What you were saying was very intriguing. But on Friday the 13th, anti-fairies appear
Christ.
in the Fairly Odd Parents. So anyway, what are you saying?
no. Seriously though, that's pretty adjacent to fairy lore because if you think about like the Seelie courts versus the unseelie courts,
We should
first
talk
ruled
about
by Queen Titania, and then her opposite, right? So where there's always a light court, there's a court of darkness in the Fey world, and so and the times in between,
What
like
the
on the
hell,
waxing and
man?
waning of a moon. And I'm just saying, Fairly Odd Parents did a good job. They did a good job sticking to the fairy lore.
What were you saying about Cyclops?
We forced this man to be on our podcast.
Yeah, and we forced him to pick
I was
Cyclops.
told to pick this character.
This dude is literally got Bullnose to pick the shittiest character in the
All right,
entire
who's
series.
No, but he
Who's your
did
favorite
defend
character,
it. That's
though?
how it got
You did a
started.
good job.
He defended
That's
it.
true.
All right,
The
so
problem is
what are
Cyclops
his
is
powers?
indefensible. It's literally impossible.
I mean, he's got.
I wanted to see you do it. I am impressed with your effort.
Yeah, I mean
Optic flash.
What were you saying about his brothers?
that
Havoc.
like his beam can hurt one of his brothers, but let's say Vulcan
Wait, he has more
can
than one
hurt.
brother?
Yeah, Vulcan and Havoc,
I didn't know
and they
that.
each have different like. So Cyclops was the red. I think Vulcan's yellow, and I think Havoc was blue. And then light beams, and like one can hurt the other. The other one can't hurt either of them.
Spock
And
is
then
from one of them.
The last one hurts both of them, or something like that. I don't know if it's like.
Is it like based off of color?
It's rock, paper, scissors based.
Except one of them is just like
Except
a gun.
one can hurt
Yeah.
both, and one can't hurt all.
Yeah, one's got it, right.
So if what happens if they put all their colors together?
Yeah.
Don't cross.
I
the
don't.
streams.
I did not come across that information.
What would you pitch as the best character besides Cyclops? Who would you say? You said
As far as
so.
an X-Men or mutant,
Toad is a good one. Speaking of shitty,
quote.
you know what is the shittiest thing about Storm?
All right, who's the worst character?
Oh yeah, let me hear that. What's the shitty thing about
shittiest
Storm?
thing-
is the quote from X-Men.
The quote from X-Men is so
What is she going
Go for
fucking
it.
bad.
Go for it. What is it?
It's I don't know if I have the exact quote, but it's very close to this.
Toad is dangling from a metal like.
A metal pole with this
Oh,
yellow.
yeah.
It says, what happens when a toad gets hit by lightning?
Oh no!
The same thing that happens to everything else, and then he gets roasted by lightning. That's
Yeah.
Insert SpongeBob memes.
It's real
it's
bad.
so terrible.
Real bad.
That's in the first movie, I think.
Yeah, it is.
First movie's full of trash. And in the first movie, yeah, they make Cyclops look like a little bitch
Yeah.
in all those movies. In the
The
second movie,
movies
they
do
get
not
in his
represent
car,
him well.
and he's got NSYNC playing on the radio in his car.
Wait, that's
CD.
a recommendation though. That's one reason why I should like it. He's got
No,
a
they're
good taste
trying
in
to make
music.
him look like a bitch. On
Well, he's
purpose.
got a good taste in music. Is all I'm
But
saying.
they're trying to make him look lame. The movies hate Scott
He
Summers.
doesn't need help. He's already lame.
James Marsden is cool, but yeah, Scott Summers, no.
And okay, so my chief beef with this man,
Chief beef?
yeah,
What's chief beef?
I just don't like the way he is in the books either. I feel like he spends so
Boy
much
Scout?
time. Not even that. Like at times he's like that. Then Jean dies, and he like mopes around for like a decade and a half. Like literally.
Okay, yeah. You
if
brought
the
him up
person-
last.
If the woman you love dies, you should just be over that.
You were saying his entire character just revolves around.
Oh, literally
Jean.
around Jean. And I feel like it's that way for like a long time.
Well,
and then it
but
goes
that's
from
a statement.
that.
That's a statement because all of X-Men revolves around genes, and so it's a microcosm of the whole comic book. So really, it's the most important relationship. What were you saying?
I'm sorry, it was just so dumb. I forgot. But Cyclops sucks.
So we'll give you a chance to pitch a second character.
I got nothing for.
Nothing?
I only prepare for Cyclops.
All right, who's the worst character then? It's not Cyclops, right?
It's probably Angel.
Angel's
We're
worst.
talking about like the original cast.
Angel for
Villains
sure.
too, though. There are some mutants who don't have powers. They just have physically mutated. They look.
But I think he
different.
was like the one of the very few physical mutated like
Beast.
beings.
I like.
Beast was on the original cast.
Can I talk about a character that I like, but their power is not that cool to me?
Who?
I think Bishop is a very interesting character,
Yeah.
but being able to absorb powers and throw them back doesn't seem that cool.
No,
to
It's
me.
a power.
Kirby.
So
That's the whole. Isn't that the whole premise of the series Heroes, right? Heroes is about like two guys who can absorb powers.
Well, he can't absorb them and keep. He's not like Rogue.
Even Rogue
Can-
can't absorb them and keep them unless.
She
Mhm.
kills somebody. Yeah,
Except that's how she got her strength
Miss
in her
Marvel?
flight.
killed Miss Marvel or whatever.
She could theoretically do it again.
But she wouldn't.
Yeah, she doesn't want to.
Sorry for the interruption, folks. We'll be right back to Your Favorite Character Sucks after a quick message from our sponsors. Hey kids,
Yeah? Huh?
That's right, I'm talking to you. Bet you've seen those giant robots flying around protecting humanity from X-Men.
Yeah, they're totally awesome.
Well, guess what, kid? Now there's a Sentinel just for you. The Mini Nimrod 2000 is small enough to fit in your front door, but powerful enough to stop any mutants that might try to harm you.
No way! How do I get one?
All you gotta do is ask your parents to make a call to 1-800-KELLY and make 10 easy payments of $99.99.99.
Whoa, is this one mine?
That's right. Why don't you try talking to it?
Hey, Mini Nimrod, can I go outside and play?
No. The outside world is dangerous for humans like you. You must stay inside where it's safe.
Well, can I watch TV?
The radio waves from the television have a chance to disrupt your genetic structure. Even the slightest mutation makes you an enemy. All enemies must be annihilated. Oh, Mini Nimrod. That's right, kid. Mini Nimrod 2000 sure knows how to have fun. Playing with Mini Nimrod 2000 can cause unintended imprisonment, temporary to permanent enslavement, and the sense that by creating and unleashing these powerful robots, humanity has tried to play God and is now paying for their hubris. All right, well,
So who won?
I think we've come down to the end. Now we know
we
who
didn't
won.
even talk about Magneto or Professor X's power.
I'm so confused.
We didn't.
Did I win?
I mean, Professor X has access to Cerebro, which is also extremely powerful tool.
But
he's got
a tool.
Shi'ar technology.
Yeah, but if the lights go
Also,
out.
tools.
But that's due to the relationships he made. I mean, that's part of
That's not part of
that's part of a
being-
character is to be able to make relationships, build
I
relationships.
feel like, why does it always tie back to like being able to make friends is like the best
That's the same
superpower?
argument for
That's what
Yeah,
Harry
it's the same shit that you said about Harry Potter. I'm like, my god, dude. It's just tiring.
It matters.
It doesn't. It's so fucking lame. We're talking about these guys in a vacuum. This guy
Okay.
can't even walk around, okay?
Oh God.
It's Legolas.
Legolas.
Well,
Yeah.
Orlando Bloom.
I was gonna say that.
Yeah. His eyebrows don't match his hair. Is that what you're saying?
Don't disrespect Legolas like that. He doesn't deserve this. Not yet, at least.
Anyway,
So I guess it depends on
Magneto's powers. He can block bullets. He's the reason.
Well, the most important power is for him is dismantling Wolverine.
Yeah.
Because Wolverine is every X-Men
All
movie
right,
is a
is that
Wolverine
the
movie.
best moment in the best moment in X-Men history? Is him taking the metal out of Wolverine? That's pretty
The
cool.
whole skeleton out of Wolverine.
That's pretty cool.
pretty insane.
There's so many applications.
And then it makes Bone Wolverine, which is really cool.
But think about the things Magneto can do with his powers. The problem is that metal's just everywhere, you know what I'm saying? There's nothing better. I know I talked about all the derivative powers, but Magneto is actually just the best of those. Magneto is better than Dirt Nito.
And
It's better than Wood Nito.
he can do like the electromagnetic field, which you don't really see like in the movies.
Yeah.
Where he
But
parry his bullets and stuff
at
like
one,
that.
he can use it to fly.
Yeah.
And yeah, he just
You remember in that god-awful Apocalypse movie where he's like good and then his kid gets killed or whatever and then he like...
Oh, do you remember the one where he puts those two steel beams down in the
That's the
form of
same
an
movie,
X
right?
for X-Men?
Yeah.
That shit was fucking
no, his
tight.
character was completely wasted in that movie, and it was very.
What are you
upsetting.
talking about? He was sick. I want to see
The whole movie.
2.5 hours of Eric Lensher just floating
Yeah, the
around.
whole movie.
What's worse, Age of Apocalypse or Dark Phoenix?
He said Phoenix.
Phoenix is worse.
Is worse?
Yeah.
That movie
Apocalypse
was
got like,
so.
Apocalypse actually got like 51% on our
Age of
No,
Apocalypse
our
is
hate-
garbage.
That shit was very bad.
We laughed our way through that movie.
Yeah.
We were so
there's
excited
nothing.
to.
There's
We
nothing
were
funny
so
about
excited.
Dark Phoenix.
It's not even funny. So it's not even
It's
good.
sad.
So it's not
It's
good.
like
bad.
it really just feels like Fox. Like, all right, well,
Let's finish this shit up.
yeah, it's like you let everybody else borrow all your cool toys, and you're still trying to make this. You're still trying to play the same game, but you don't have the right tools anymore. That was frustrating. It's the same thing over and over and over again. Where Magneto, I lost everything again, and now I'm mad at
Yeah.
humankind again. And Charles like, no.
That's what I'm saying. Every time they restart it, you lose all the character development, so they go nowhere.
No,
Right.
You just
it's
have to
true.
go through the
It's
same
fun.
basic shit every
Which
time.
sucks because I feel like by the end, or like there's a certain point where Magneto is just like good with everything.
It's
That's what I'm saying. That's
Like
what I
he's
want
good with X,
I
and then the
wanted to
two
get
of
to
them
that
like
point.
they pass the torch on, and they're just big chilling. But you never get to that point in the films or anything because we just keep having to reboot shit.
Yeah, so based on this conversation, Storm is first, and then Magneto.
Well, no, we got to decide.
like last
Best
time.
character.
We all have to say it at the same time.
On the count of 3, what is the best character based on this conversation? And whatever we say, it is just true.
It's just law.
Remember, everyone's votes count.
We're
equally.
experts. We're experts because what is the definition of an expert? 10,000 hours, and this conversation has been 10,000 hours long. So
Definitely feels like it.
we are all experts, and so whatever we say right now, it's not even a subjective thing. It's objective. We are deciding right now who's the best character,
Yeah.
and we're all going to say it into the mic in 3, 2, 1.
Magneto.
So we all chose.
I heard 5 different
What did you
things.
say?
Magneto.
Oh, okay, so 2 for Magneto, baby.
What'd you say?
Toad. So basically Storm. So
Don't be a troll. No,
Storm
don't be a
and
troll.
Resurrection are the same one as Toad here.
Don't be a troll. Our audience is relying on us to pick the best character.
That
Who's
was
the best
expert
character?
testimony.
It's not true, Toad.
I am using my expert
You know
testimony.
Toad
Y'all
is the
have
best
equal
character.
votes.
Come
You
on,
can't
bro.
override
Are you
his vote.
trying to
I'm
disavow
saying,
your
I'm saying you're being a troll. Who's the best character?
Honestly, what's fucked is I see in this situation a white man trying to take away my power here. My liberty to vote.
He said
is...
you're only worth a fraction of a vote.
Exactly, it's fucked.
I
He
just
said-
saw Toad flip Wolverine over his head, Sumagesh style.
So he's stronger than Wolverine.
Yeah, better. It's not about strength. It's about technique.
That no one said Wolverine.
Toad's got that tongue
No one
technique.
said Wolverine.
Alright, so
in this
Magneto-
group.
so
Someone
many
said Toad.
applications
Magneto won by popular
for
vote.
the tongue technique. That's all I'm saying.
No.
Magneto won by popular vote. No, Megan, we decided Magneto is the best
We
X-Men
didn't decide
character.
But there are 3 good runner-ups here.
No, this is still the top 5 though. So it's Magneto.
Top 5: Magneto, Storm, Xavier, Cyclops, and Toad.
No, Cyclops was
Cyclops
not said
didn't
in
get
the
any votes,
final.
so
In the
Toad is
final
above-
vote,
Toad is
no
above
one
Cyclops.
mentioned Cyclops.
And Toad is actually equal with Storm and Professor X. That's
Yeah.
all I'm saying.
That's no.
But do you know what happens?
These are all
to-
S-class mutants.
But do you know what happens to a Toad? They get struck by lightning.
Okay, that was a cheesy line, but her abilities are so much better than y'all.
The amount of cheesy lines that Juggernaut spits on this one episode are.
Okay,
Oh, no, Juggernaut's
really cool, though.
Sick-ass
We did it again. We figured out the best character in whatever topic we were covering this episode. Was the sound quality great? No comment. Did we make any mistakes? I doubt it. But did we present funny, unique, and expert content that you can't find anywhere else? I think we all know the answer is yes. If you want to hear more of that content, you've got to tune in every couple of weeks. The easiest way is to subscribe to the podcast now. It's over, so just go to the page and hit the button. You can also join us at YFCS Pod on Instagram and Twitter, where you can tell us who your favorite character is, let us know if there's any corrections, which I doubt there are, and suggest a topic that we cover next. Until next time, thank you for listening to Your Favorite Character Sucks.